Договорились с президентом Соединенных Штатов о том, что Россия предложит и готова работать с украинской стороной над меморандумом по поводу возможного будущего мирного договора с определением ряда позиций, таких как, например, принципы урегулирования, сроки возможного заключения мирного соглашения и так далее, включая и возможное прекращение огня на определенное время в случае достижения соответствующих договоренностей. В целом позиция России ясна. Главное для нас устранить первопричины этого кризиса.
This is my video update on this Tuesday afternoon, May the 20th, coming to you from Limasol, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And of course, we are going to start things off with the Trump-Putin phone call. What else were we going to start things off with? So we had the phone call between Trump and Putin. The call lasted 2 hours. Trump was very happy with the results of the phone call. Putin appeared to be happy with the results of the phone call. He said the call was frank and constructive, I believe is what he said. He used the words frank. It was a frank discussion, but it was also constructive or productive or something like that, is what Putin said. But Ushakov, he gave a press conference after the phone call, actually after Putin went out and spoke to the media for about 5 minutes. Ushakov then spoke to the media, and he added some more context and gave some more information about the phone call. And Ushakov said that the two leaders get along really well. They addressed each other by the first name, Donald and Vladimir. That is how they talk to each other. And Ushakov said that after the 2 hours, when it was time to hang up, neither leader was ready to hang up first, right? So they were okay to continue to talk. That's how well they get along with each other, according to Ushakov's statement. So that was some of the context of the phone call. As far as what was discussed, well, of course, Project Ukraine, some things about trade, and a prisoner release as well. I believe Ushakov said a 9-9 format. So it looks like Russia is going to release nine Americans, and the United States is going to release 9 Russians. 1 second, let me find it so I can get you guys the right information. 9 for 9 people. Putin and Trump discussed another prisoner exchange between Russia and the United States. 9 for 9. He noted that the Ukrainian topic was discussed by Putin and Trump in great detail with interesting nuances. The president, Ushakov, also said that the presidents of Russia and the United States addressed each other by name, Donald and Vladimir, and neither of them wanted to hang up first during a telephone conversation. Ooh, that's got to piss off the Europeans and Zelensky, when they hear something like that. Neither of them wanted to hang up. That's got to really, really upset Zelensky and the Europeans. Which way should we go? Let's continue to walk up. I hear something. Something's going on over there. This must be a hotel or something. Yeah, this is the Atlantica Hotel. Okay. I knew I heard something going on over there. Let's see if we can take a peek and see what's happening. Nah, we can't really see what's going on. I don't know, maybe you guys can see what's going on. I can't see unless I jump over, which I'm not going to do. So Putin's statement to the media was short, but he did reveal something interesting with regards to the discussion he had with Trump. Putin revealed that Trump and Putin agreed to a timeline and to put together a memorandum which would lead to an end in the conflict. That was a very interesting statement, an interesting outcome to these discussions. Let me read you what Putin said when he spoke to the media. He said, "We agreed with the President of the United States that Russia would propose and is ready to engage with the Ukrainian side on drafting a memorandum regarding a potential future peace agreement. This would include outlining a range of provisions, such as the principles for settlement, the time frame for a possible peace deal, and other matters, including a potential temporary ceasefire, should the necessary agreements be reached. Notably, Russia's position is clear. Eliminating the root causes of this crisis is what matters most to us." So look, Putin remains firm on root causes. He was very clear. Actually, that was the last thing he told reporters. We're sticking with root causes. That is what we want in order to solve the conflict in Ukraine. Root causes. So he made sure to say that. But he did give something to Trump, which is a memorandum and a timeline. Now, a memorandum and a timeline could be risky for Putin. If it was any other leader, I would say that this could open him up to making further concessions. But I think Putin knows what he's doing, and my guess would be that what he is counting on is that when they draft the what he's counting on is that when they put together the memorandum, how they see an end to the conflict. Of course, it will include June 2024 Istanbul Plus root causes. Well, it will be June 2024 Istanbul Plus root causes. And Zelensky, Ukraine, and the Europeans will absolutely reject it. I think that's the calculus on Putin's part. Basically, what Putin is saying, what Russia is saying when they talk about a time frame and a memorandum, is that they're going to put together the capitulation documents for Ukraine to sign, right? And the off-ramp is there for Trump and for the United States. Putin is playing along with the United States as mediator. Everyone knows that the United States is not a mediator. Everyone knows that this is their proxy war. But Putin is playing along with this because he wants to normalize relations with the United States. And he sees this memorandum and this time frame as a way to provide an off-ramp for Trump. We'll create the memorandum. We'll put together a time frame. This is what ending the conflict means, and he's hoping that or he's betting on the fact that Trump will go along with this. I imagine when they meet, which is something that they're going to do, they are definitely going to meet, Trump and Putin. I imagine Putin is going to explain all of this to Trump and tell him what the reality is on the ground and how he sees a resolution to the conflict, which is going to run very counter to Kellogg, to what Kellogg and Rubio and all of these guys have been telling Trump and Graham. And if they agree on the memorandum, then they'll present it to Zelensky. So there's risks in all of this. There's the risk that Trump continues to go with Kellogg, continues to go with Kellogg's 22-point plan. It's no longer a ceasefire plan. It's a 22-point plan now. But there's the risk that Trump continues to go with the ceasefire plan, the 22-point plan from Kellogg. There's the risk that he continues to listen to Lindsey Graham and to Kellogg. And there's the risk that he ultimately sides with Ukraine and the Europeans, and eventually places sanctions on Russia. But I think Putin is betting on the fact that Trump's not going to go that route. And I think Putin might be right, but we have to wait and see. Trump said, as he was speaking to the media, he said that in 2 to 4 weeks, they will most likely meet. He actually was asked about the meeting taking place at the Vatican. We've been talking on this channel over the past couple of days about the role that the Vatican is playing, all the meetings that are taking place at the Vatican and in Rome. And sure enough, one of the reporters asked him about the Vatican being the location for the summit. And Trump said, yeah, why not? So let me read you what Trump posted on Truth Social. 1 second. All right. Trump said, just completed my 2-hour call with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. I believe it went very well. Russia and Ukraine will immediately start negotiations towards a ceasefire and, more importantly, an end to the war. The conditions for that will be negotiated between the two parties, as it can only be because they know details of a negotiation that nobody else would be aware of. The tone and spirit of the conversation were excellent. If it wasn't, I would say so now rather than later. Russia wants to do large-scale trade with the United States when this catastrophic bloodbath is over, and I agree. There is tremendous opportunity for Russia to create massive amounts of jobs and wealth. Its potential is unlimited. Likewise, Ukraine can be a great beneficiary on trade. In the process of rebuilding its country, negotiations between Russia and Ukraine will begin immediately. I have so informed President Zelensky of Ukraine, Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, President Emmanuel Macron of France, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni of Italy, Chancellor Merz of Germany, and President Alexander Stubb of Finland during a call with me immediately after the call with President Putin. The Vatican, as represented by the Pope, has stated that it would be very interested in hosting the negotiations. Let the process begin. So what name was missing from that list of leaders that Trump called after he spoke with Putin? What name? If you are saying 008, Keir Starmer, ding, ding, you are correct. Yeah, the UK's been frozen out, man. See you later, Keir Starmer. You're no longer in the loop. Amazing, huh? Amazing. Yeah, I think that Trump just got sick of Keir Starmer and his constant pushing for escalation and for sanctions against Russia. Not that Macron and Zelensky and Ursula and Stubb and Meloni are any different, but I think he's just sick of Starmer. He never liked Starmer. Starmer was, of course, interfering in the U.S. elections, and I don't think Trump has ever gotten over that. So he's freezing Starmer out. Very embarrassing for Starmer, huh? He's not mentioned in this post. Well, he's got a lot of problems. Keir Starmer has got a lot of problems right now. a whole lot of problems, and a lot of them are not political. A lot of his problems are not political. So there it is, the phone call between Trump and Putin. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on the phone call? On balance, nothing has changed. The conflict continues. Russia was, over the past couple of days, was launching a lot of drones into Ukraine. I believe on one day they launched 235 drones. And there's a lot of panic in the Sumy region. Okay, let's go around. I was wondering, how do I get in there? There was a lot of panic in the Sumy region from Ukraine officials. They're actually beginning an evacuation because they feel that that sooner or later Russia's going to make an offensive in the Sumy direction. So there is a lot of panic in Ukraine. You know, if Trump manages with Putin, if they do manage to put a memorandum together, which is based on Istanbul Plus, after the two leaders meet, Ukraine better take it. They had better take it, because the Ukraine military is in deep trouble. Russia continues to gain a lot of ground on the front lines, which the collective West media is not talking about and is not covering. Deliberately, they're not covering it. So I'm trying to think, is there anything else connected to the phone call? Trump told the media that there's a good chance we can get this done. I believe Putin wants to do it. My whole life is like deals, one big deal. And if I thought that President Putin did not want to get this over with, I wouldn't even be talking about it, because I'd just pull out. You know, there's a lot of talk about pulling out as well, walking away. He hinted at that in his Truth Social post, and he said it to the media as well. The Trump administration is definitely thinking about walking away. Now, maybe they're going to walk away with a deal presented to Ukraine. Maybe Ukraine will sign that deal. Maybe they'll walk away with a deal presented to Ukraine where Ukraine will reject that deal. Or maybe we don't even get to a memorandum. Maybe everything just continues, and who knows? Trump can always slide back to the sanctions. I support Zelensky and the Europeans side of things. There's always these risks as this goes along. But as I said earlier, I think Putin has game planned this out fairly well. He is taking risks. He is taking risks when you put together, by volunteering to put together a memorandum and a timeline. He is opening himself up to the possibility that as this process moves forward, that concessions could be made, or he will be pressured to make concessions. You do open yourself up to that possibility, and as I said, if it was any other leader, I would say that that's a bad move to put together the memorandum and the time frame for all of this. But I think Putin, he understands Trump. He understands where Trump is going and what he wants. I think Trump feels that he understands Putin as well. As I said, the two leaders seem to get along, whether you like Trump, hate Trump, whether you like Putin or hate Putin. I don't think you can argue that they do get along. They do know how to talk to each other, and they do have an understanding of each other. Anyway, that's the situation. We will probably wait 2 to 4 weeks, and then we will have a summit where the two leaders will meet, and we will take it from there. My guess is a memorandum gets put together, which in essence is Istanbul Plus and the capitulation of Ukraine. And maybe Putin convinces Trump that it's this or all of Ukraine is gone 4 territories become 8, as they said during the Istanbul talks. He passes this on to Trump, and this is passed on. The Istanbul Plus memorandum, whatever you want to call it, is passed on to Zelensky, and that will be it. Then the ball is in Zelensky and the Europeans' court. The Europeans are freaking out. They really are freaking out over this. Actually, the Times, they said that after the phone call, where's the quote from the Times? Here we go. The Times said that after the phone call, U.S. sanctions now look less likely than ever. Rather than punish Russia with crunching sanctions, as some had hoped, he called the call excellent and said Russia had a tremendous opportunity to do business with the U.S. if the war ended, the newspaper writes. Boy, were they hoping for sanctions, and Trump, he sidestepped it, right? Yeah, he sidestepped the pressure to place sanctions on Russia because, as we said on the Duran, as I've been saying on this channel, the Europeans, they know that once Trump puts sanctions on Russia, then that's it. He is bogged down in Ukraine, bogged down in Europe, bogged down with NATO, weapons, money, all going to Europe and to NATO and to Ukraine. The EU elite and the UK elite and Zelensky, they understand this. That's why they're pushing so hard for sanctions. By the way, Zelensky, he spoke to the media before the phone call between Trump and Putin, and he said that he's not going to be giving up any territory. He's not going to concede any territory, he said. No 4 regions, no Crimea. And he said that in no way is Ukraine going to stop their path towards NATO. After the call between Trump and Putin, Zelensky then went on to say that he could sign up to a memorandum and to some sort of a time frame, but he would have to see the memorandum and the time frame first. It does feel as if, even though Trump is saying that this is going to be put together, this memorandum between Russia and Ukraine, I just get the sense that it's going to be more Russia and the U.S. kind of there, being informed of everything that's being put together, and once again, Ukraine being presented with papers. I don't know, that's just the sense that I'm getting, but man, all of this could fall apart. All of this could fall apart at the moment. That's where we are. The conflict continues, and we will wait over the next couple of weeks to see what happens. As far as concessions, if Russia were to make any concessions, Alexander brought up a really good point on the video that we recorded on the Duran, which is that Putin's not going to make any concessions when it comes to Ukraine, but where he will make concessions, and I think this is exactly where Putin is taking this, he will make concessions when it comes to doing business with the United States, and that's going to be presented as concessions. Will allow American businesses to work with Russian businesses, will allow American businesses to work in the energy sphere in Russia. And I think those are going to be the types of concessions that Putin is going to present to Trump. And I think Trump's going to like those offers. I don't even know if you want to call them concessions, but I think they'll be packaged as concessions. And I think Trump's going to go for that. I know Witkoff's going to go for that. Absolutely. And Trump mentions it in his Truth Social post. He talks about trade and doing business. So let's move on. Let's move on and let's talk about Australia sending tanks to Ukraine, Abrams tanks, 49 Abrams tanks. But the problem is that these Australian tanks are decommissioned Abrams tanks to Ukraine against the wishes of the American officials, according to ABC Australia. These tanks are not modified for Ukraine, and Russia can reverse engineer when they capture one. Basically, what's going on, at least it seems that Australia is getting rid of 49 tanks that they have no use for. I wonder if they're selling them to Ukraine, or if they're just giving them to Ukraine and they're going to get some military hardware in exchange for the tanks. I don't know what the details are, but basically these tanks are going to make zero difference, and the Russians are going to destroy these tanks without any problems, and they'll be able to reverse engineer these Abrams tanks. But I imagine the Russians have already reverse engineered the Abrams tanks that the Biden administration provided to Ukraine. Australia is going to send 49 tanks. Biden sent 31, and Trump has sent 0 Abrams tanks. So we're getting news, going back to Starmer, we are getting news that Starmer has successfully reversed Brexit, or he's very, very close to successfully reversing Brexit. Starmer signs up to EU rules under reset deal. Brexiteers and Labour rebels say PM's agreement amounts to worst of both worlds. From Election Wizard, European Union says new pact opens door for UK to partake in defense fund. Ah, yes, they want to get their hands on that defense fund, the UK political elite. How can we get in on some of this defense fund action? Well, Starmer has signed up the UK to a closer alignment with the European Union. It seems as if the UK will have none of the benefits of being inside the European Union, but will have the European Union placing all kinds of restrictions and demands on the UK. So the UK is going to have the European Union dictating many things to the UK, many business, trade, relation things to the UK, but the UK will not be able to vote on any of this stuff because it's not a member of the European Union. It really is the worst of all worlds, huh? At least if you're going to reverse Brexit, at least go back into the European Union so at least you could sit at the table and get a vote on whatever policies the EU cooks up. Now you don't even have a vote, and the EU is going to put together all kinds of policies, and you're going to have to swallow it as the UK. Starmer, a complete Brexit betrayal. A dynamic alignment with the EU means we pay hundreds of millions of taxpayer money, and the EU rules us. Food and agriculture rules forever. Free movement for 150 million people. Join the EU army. Subsidize EU students in the UK. Accept ECJ jurisdiction. Give them our waters. The globalists are cheering. Labour's betrayal is complete. The circle is now complete. Once I was the pupil and you were the master. Now I am the master and you are the pupil or the student. What did Darth Vader tell Obi-Wan? I always mess up that quote, man. But man, is it a good quote. Probably the best quote in all of Star Wars. The circle is now complete. Well, the circle is now complete, young Starmer. This is awful, man. What an awful deal. Did I not call this? Did I not say 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, a couple of months ago, that Starmer's his objective, the reason that he was put in as prime minister of the UK, the reason he's there is to finish the reversal of Brexit. That's the whole purpose of Starmer as prime minister of the UK, right? And he's doing it. He is doing it. That's why you have the defense funds that were created. That's why they go on and on about an EU army, and the EU and the UK are in agreement with creating an army, and the UK supports Germany's initiative to build the strongest military in Europe, and the UK supports the EU's initiative to create a defense fund. That's why they were going on and on about this over the past couple of months. That's why they kept on saying the EU and the UK are united when it comes to Project Ukraine. They're united when it comes to sanctions against Russia. They're united when it comes to building a big military, when it comes to military spending. All of the statements were put out there in order to prepare everybody for what would eventually be the UK's re-entry into the European Union. But without a vote, without a seat at the table. That's the important part to all of this. Anyway, let's move on. The New York Times is reporting that Russia is beefing up its bases near Finland's border. Tents, shelters for fighter jets, and warehouses for military vehicles show increased Russian presence near one of NATO's newest members. And Finland's complaining, the New York Times is complaining, NATO is complaining. Why is Russia building up their military next to Finland? Well, maybe it's because Finland decided to join NATO. And if Finland decides to join NATO, well then, Russia's going to have to build up its military next to the NATO member state, because NATO is an aggressive alliance aimed at going to war and destroying the Russian Federation. So there you have it. Finland, there you go. You wanted NATO. Now you're going to have the Russian military right there next to you. So it's interesting that they're complaining about this. Finland is complaining about this. NATO's complaining about this. Why? Why are you building up your military next to Finland? Well, I don't understand it. I don't understand why you're doing this, Russia. So let's talk about what is going on in Gaza. We are getting reports that Britain, Canada, and France have warned they will impose sanctions on Israel if it does not cease its attacks on Gaza, and also if it doesn't lift restrictions on humanitarian aid entering the region. So Britain, Canada, France, and I believe Australia as well is joining this group of countries, which have announced that they will impose sanctions. They haven't imposed sanctions. They've continued to avoid sanctions, and they've allowed the blockade to continue. But now they are finally saying, after a lot of pressure being placed on these countries from their own citizens, I would imagine, that it's time to tell Israel, to tell Netanyahu, specifically Netanyahu, enough. You have to lift the blockade. Netanyahu, he responded to all of this by saying that he will continue the offensive in Gaza that Israel has just launched. And as far as the blockade goes, Netanyahu said that, what did he say? He said that Hamas is taking the aid. That's why he has this blockade in place, he said, because Hamas is taking the aid. And so what he is going to do is that in the next couple of days, he's going to designate certain areas which will be managed by Israeli military where aid will be distributed. That was Netanyahu's response to Canada, France, Britain, and also Australia, and their demands that the blockade gets lifted or else sanctions are coming. Witkoff, as all of this is happening, Witkoff is announcing that he has a new deal to propose to Hamas and to Israel. This is according to Axios. Witkoff's proposal includes a 45 to 60-day ceasefire in exchange for the release of 10 hostages and Palestinian prisoners. While similar to past plans, the latest version reportedly contains clearer language signaling that it could lead to a permanent ceasefire. It also includes guarantees aimed at preventing Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu from unilaterally ending the truce, an issue that derailed a previous agreement. So this is all according to Axios. I believe that Israel has said that they're fine with this plan, but they have sent Witkoff a bunch of amendments to this plan. And Hamas, at the time of this recording, has not responded to this latest Witkoff proposal. So it does seem as if, I don't know, it seems as if Netanyahu is going to have to lift the blockade. I don't see Netanyahu as having any other options left. There are rumors, but I believe these rumors are well grounded in that Trump has also had enough with Netanyahu. And there's definitely tension between the two leaders. Maybe it's a little overstated in the media. But there are definitely tensions between Trump and Netanyahu. J.D. Vance was supposed to go to Israel, and that trip got canceled because Netanyahu continues, according to various media sources, because Netanyahu is continuing the offensive in Gaza and the blockade continues. This is what they're saying. Vance canceled the trip because of this. That's an update on what is happening in Gaza. Netanyahu, it feels like Netanyahu continues to try and buy some time and space by saying that in a couple of days he'll designate certain areas where aid will be distributed under the supervision of the Israeli military. But it does feel as if many countries in the collective West are buckling under pressure from their citizens and from many of the members in the parliament, and they just don't have any more space to give Netanyahu, and now they're telling him, end the blockade, let's get a ceasefire in place, otherwise sanctions are coming. That's the situation in Gaza. So let's see, I covered Finland. Trying to see, do I have anything else? I think that is it for the news roundup. Quick clown world, and we can end this video. So during the Istanbul talks, the mediator, and this is according to CNN Turk, the mediator on the Ukraine side skipped town. Yeah, before the talks ended, the mediator decided to bolt. He did an Audi 5000, and no one knows where this mediator is. The Ukraine mediator that was brought in. The interesting part about this clown world is that this mediator really didn't need to be there, to be quite honest, because all participants speak fluent Russian. But the Ukraine side brought the mediator to the talks because they wanted to speak Ukrainian, because it's all a show, right? They wore their military camouflage. They brought the mediator who was going to translate from Ukrainian to Russian, Russian to Ukrainian. And the mediator that they brought in decided to leave, to make a run for it. He ran away before the meetings concluded. He did not go to the airport, according to authorities. And the reports are that he made it to a land border. I don't know in which border he's heading towards, but maybe, who knows? Maybe he's on his way to Greece. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to run into him next time I go to Athens. Hey, you're the mediator from Istanbul. That was me. Anyway, that's an interesting story. And I think that's the video, everybody. The Duran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfit, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch like what I'm wearing in this video update. The link is in the description box down below. Take care.